Welcome to the Making of Me podcast, where we explore the experience, choice, and moments that shape who we have become. Today, I'm joined by Terry Baines, author, speaker, and life and executive coach, for a conversations about perspective, imagination, and helping children and adults hold on to their light. It's really a pleasure to have you on the show, Terry.
I love it. I love it. Hold on to their light. And that's
Yeah,
exactly what we're talking about. Thank you, Aro.
yeah, thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here. And I can't get over, like I just said to you when we just first met, audience, that all the way from Nigeria, that's just insane. I'm in Queens, New York.
Wow,
I'm like
amazing.
20 minutes from the city, from Manhattan. Really super fun to meet you, though. And I love the title of your podcast, The Making of Me. And that's
Yeah,
very much what I am looking to help society, parents, children grow into who they want to be. Right. So,
yeah,
this is going to be a
yeah.
great conversation.
Terry, what challenge will shape you into who you are today?
What a great question. I haven't been asked it that way, right? I believe, and I've said this before on different pods, that the real experience I had was when I was a child. And I grew up in what is called a blended family here in the United States. So you have mommy and daddy, and they have divorced previously, right? Not to each other. They didn't meet yet. They had kids, then they met each other, and then they had me. So, as I like to say, I'm an only child, but I'm not. And I went through a divorce, but I didn't, right? Because I did feel the impact of their two divorces big time. So, here I was, their sunshine child that they called me. And I would really try to just stay happy. I would create my own little world when I would walk in from my elevator to my home. There was angst, there was fighting, and I didn't want any part of it. So I would run away into my room and create my happy, is what I like to call it. So I think that was a big, big thing. I played mediator. I just wanted everybody to be happy. I didn't understand the chaos, And then I got in my little bio on my website, terrybeanauthor.com, I played Mother Nature in fourth grade on stage, getting on stage in a very ugly, dirty, nasty world. That's how I first end up on stage. Curtains are closed, right? Flippers, goggles, I mean, this whole thing. And then at the end, I am there in this really pretty dress with rose-colored glasses. And like I say, I never really took those glasses off. And that my glass isn't really half full. It's pretty much full most of the time. Now, I'm not saying that I don't get serious. Now, I'm not saying that I don't have stuff that goes on. I caretake my 91-year-old mother. So you can imagine there's a lot of stuff that goes down. But I'm about limiting how much time I stay in that negative space. And as I've been hearing, if you stay even more than a second, imagine that. You could go down into a spin out. And I catch myself much sooner than that. And I think that takes a lot of practice. It
Yeah,
really does.
amazing, amazing. I think it's really lovely having this conversation because I'm just imagining what would have been like being a child, going through everything you go through. Yeah, it was really a whole lot. So
Yeah.
you have lived many chapters and reinvent yourself more than once. What did those transitions teach you about yourself?
That I'm a cat with many lives. I really feel that way. I have a resume that's quite long, and when people ask me what I have done, I usually say to them, "Why don't you ask me what I haven't done?" That's probably a better question because the list is a lot shorter. Though I think it's resilience. I think it's the ability to just not be so hard on myself if I go through a failure, or if I have a disappointing event that happens, or something that just doesn't jive with me, or my life's taken a different direction that I thought. So I've come to this place now that I realize that everything that happens is truly up to me to perceive it in such a way that it makes me feel good. So let's say I have this goal and I don't necessarily get to it the way I think I'm going to get to it, right? I kind of have given up the how. And I hold that goal in sight. And if it happens, great. And if my life takes a different course, great. There's always a reason why, right? So when you're in that place of flow and just allowing, it's a very different life. It's for me a lot more fun, and there's a lot of freedom. Why? Because there's not much fear.
Yeah.
There's not much.
Amazing.
There's not much attachment, right? So when you don't get attached to things, you're typically less disappointed, number one, and you're just in more of an allowing state. And when you're in that allowing state, we manifest and create stuff that would just blow your mind. I mean, it's always amazing to me what happens. I just sit in awe all the
Wow.
time.
That's really more like a amazing perspective in that a whole lot of persons when things happen to them, instead of taking hold of it and living the most out of it, some persons beat themselves over it and struggle accepting it. But here I am just hearing the story because whatever that happened, I actually more like make most of it, live it, love it. And it's really, really amazing. So you often say that everything is always working out for me. How did that belief form and how do you live it daily?
So I'm an avid listener of Esther Hicks. I don't know if you know Esther Hicks, who speaks through Abraham, and she wrote many, many books. But one thing she'll always say, and something that I've written in my book, is life is supposed to be fun,
Hmm.
right? And she has said everything is always working out for me. And there's actually a YouTube video where I used to wake up in the morning and listen to it over and over again. It was to a song and everything like that. So she talks about pre-paving your day. Well, to be able to pre-pave your day, you want to wake up with certain affirmations and mantras in your head. And as you go through your day, instead of thinking of something that you're working on or that's happening or a conversation you're going to have or whatever it is, you're just kind of going into everything's always working out for me. I'm telling you right now that as I am walking down the street, quite often that's where my head's at. And I just I have fun with the phrase, and that's it. Now, not to say again, when I go into tough conversations or challenging conversations, Mom, I've got a few of those sometimes. What I do, and I'll give your listeners a practice, it's really helpful. And it was for me many times when my dad was alive too, because, they would do their thing. I'd walk into my home, and right before I entered, I'd physically rub my hands together and then wipe down my body with what I call emotional sunscreen. So in doing that, first of all, it's almost like a positive intelligence rep is what it's called, where you're standing you're getting grounded in your being, and you're walking into any kind of conversation with intention. When you walk into a room, you could walk in with intention, right? You don't know what's going to happen. You could put on your emotional sunscreen. So people who would probably not be the best people for you to meet would just be deflected, right? And then you'd have these beautiful conversations because you're intending and pre-paving. So I'm actually trying to teach that now to children 6 to 9 years old, that they can create lives that they love by focusing on happy and creating happy, right? On not caring as much of what other people think and to live their life, right? And giving them some of the tools that I've been talking to you about so they can step into lives that they love. Now, here in the United States, there's about 86% of people who really dislike their life. That's a huge percentage. It's massive. Okay. So if we start with children and they start to create lives they love, my feeling is that there's more of a probability that the children will grow up loving themselves and be kinder and more patient and happier and more connected to themselves and other people around them. And that is what Abracadabra, my book, is all about. It really
Wow.
is.
Amazing. So from your perspective, what threatens a child light the most today?
So I have a theory. One of my theories is, as we grow older, I don't know about you and in Nigeria, but I think all of us are the same, right? We all want acceptance and approval and love.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are, okay? And I think children, depending on the parents that live vicariously through their child, or the child who always needs acceptance from that parent because that parent kind of demands it, right? Too. What happens is when we grow up, we're always looking on the outside of ourselves for acceptance, and we're not really accepting ourselves. So we're not literally working with building our self-esteem and the trust that we have within ourselves to create the lives that we love. Because we're always looking on the outside, and what we do and what we have become our identity, right? Not who we are. So as soon as we start to share with children that they are powerful, that they have this, what I like to call the wizard inside them, for them to make decisions based on how they feel, based on happiness, right? If you're going to do this versus that, take a breath. How are you going to feel beforehand, before reacting? Right. And once they do that and practice it, it's a practice like an affirmation in the morning. In my coloring book, I have, what are they called? Bubble blurbs, the little circles that they have. And I ask children to write down whatever words they feel they want to speak to themselves in the morning, so they could pre-pave and make a great day for themselves and create a great day. So imagine having your kids, right? I used to hate Mondays. Why? School, of course. I really hated Mondays, right? But imagine if I had this tool where I woke up every morning and I looked up and I just said, I am happy, right? Today's going to be a great day.
Yeah.
It totally puts you in a different vibration, especially when you have the smile on your face and all of that. And here's a kid who's going to be happy growing up, and growing into it, and start to learn that skill that when things happen that are a little off, their perception and their thought around that particular situation, it's up to them to change it.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
How can parents and caregivers help children now protect their joy without shattering them from reality?
So we lost something as adults in understanding that we really have the ability to create our own reality. We lost it, but we really did. And so much of it is based on what you and I have talked about, right? So, the number one thing I would do is make sure that if I'm having an argument with my spouse or anybody in my life, that I'm not necessarily bring it to my kid, right? That's one. Away from the media, away from what's going on. Now we're global. We are a global country. I know what's happening in Nigeria.
Yeah.
It does not affect my life, right? It doesn't. It doesn't affect my little world. And we all have our little worlds. So what is the food we want to feed it? What is the media we want to feed it? Not the crap that goes on. We really don't. And I understand that that's quote unquote reality. But when we truly get how that impacts us, I wouldn't step into that. I'd stay away from that most of the time. A child has the right, and all of us do have the right, to be children and keep being children, honestly, till the day we die. I feel that I still have the 4-year-old in me forevermore. And whether I'm silly, whether I'm laughing, whether it's slapstick, which Dad and I lost him 15 years ago, used to love slapstick. Whatever it is that I enjoy, I try to focus on, because I'm only going to get more of it. Because again, wherever you put your energy and your focus, that's going to come back to you tenfold. So where do you want to put your energy? Is the question. So I would ask any parent, where do you want to put your energy? And just play with your kid. How fun is that? How super fun. I can't wait. Cause this book has just literally risen out right after 14 years, by the way. It was incubating for 14 years, which is unbelievable. So now this book is out, and it's the most surreal thing you can imagine when you hold a book in your hand. You're like, oh. So it's very exciting for me. So now it's one step at a time and getting out there. And that's why I'm on these podcasts, and I'm going to try and get out to major media and everything, because I feel that the message is so important and that it can really change future generations and make this world a kinder, more peaceful place
Yeah.
where we all deserve to live. We really
Yeah.
all deserve to live there. I'm reaching out to you and everybody to do that, though it's our responsibility, our personal responsibility, right, as adults, to kind of let in what's going to keep us in that space, right? We all have power over our own thoughts. And then it's up to us when raising our kids and grandkids that we kind of set the example for them. Always lead by example, right? And they're going to follow suit. I mean, kids are amazing. They're like little sponges.
Yeah.
They're little sponges. They're just tremendous when they're younger. So I'm going in. I'm excited to do children's book readings, and I'm going to bring in Professor Wisely, which is a puppet. I can show you actually. He's really terrific. So Professor Wisely has his own magic wand. Here's Professor Wisely.
And
So Terry's new thing in the next 30 days is trying to find a way to learn ventriloquy. So to become a ventriloquist, we're going to see that one, but I'm really hoping. But he's Professor Wisely, and I'm going to come in with magic wands for the kids and different worksheets I'm going to give them, just like I told you about, whether they get the coloring book or not. And it's going to be a really great ride with Abracadabra. I believe that in my heart. I absolutely believe that in my heart. It's going to be a tremendous. We're going to have people. What was it? Someone just said to me, what was it? 6 6? All the kids were doing 6 6 or something, or three numbers or something. It was like last year or something. I don't even remember it. But
yeah.
a friend of mine said today, she's a marketer, and she said, maybe we could have people going around with abracadabra, abracadabra. And Lady Gaga would love that because, of course, her song, and she's up for a Grammy for it. I'm going to be getting the books into her hands soon enough. But yeah, I think life could truly be magical. And even when we go through those tougher times in life, when we remember who we are and we remember the power that we have to switch that narrative and story in our brain and quickly and do it quickly, we'll train ourselves into a pretty amazing journey here on earth.
Amazing. Amazing. Thanks so much for sharing. So, caring for your mom is deeply human. Is deeply in the human chapter of your stories. How has that experience reshaped your understanding of happiness?
I'll tell you a story. Not many know this, that there was 3 years in my life that mom and I and my sister did not speak. So imagine that. So what happened, this was about 7 years ago, 8 years ago now it's going on. And I decided to hand what I call the olive branch out because it became evident to me, instead of standing in self-righteousness, right, that someone had to give the olive branch. I mean, you know how people get, right? They're on both sides. No one wants to move. Well, when you get to a point where you say to yourself, especially when it comes to a family member, and you make a decision for yourself. For me, my decision was I didn't want my mother to leave this planet without me closing the gap. I needed to close that gap with her. And that was for me and my heart. Then it became this thing where I ended up being the caretaker because my sister moved to Florida. And I was the one in Florida for 30 years. So I came back here, and I really truly believe that without the amount of personal development and self tuning and self-awareness and many of the tools that I have as a coach that I actually share with people, I could not be doing what I'm doing right now. I mean, it's wide open. So a couple of things have come up where I realize, number one, I always have to meet my mother where she is, not where I want her to be. Just like a child, right? Not where I want her to be, not where I think she should be, or I'm disappointed because she's living her life the way she's living it, and I think she should be doing something. No, 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 no. This is her journey. And it's amazing that when I'm so allowing in that, she's so much happier. She's just joyful. She just does her thing. And she's a tough cookie.
Yeah.
She's not easy. So
Yeah.
I've realized that, you know, She has done, and we've heard this before in other things, people do the best they can do with
Yeah.
what they have. And either they want to choose to step further into themselves or not. And it's not right or wrong. Wherever they are, right? And the more I think you forgive yourself when you're going into situations like that, and the more that you accept and allow that person to just be who they are, the less we're going to start, the less of the divisiveness and the less arguing we're going to have. I think the cell phones and the social media has caused torment when it comes to comparing ourselves, which is like the devil. And when it comes to judging ourselves against that and anything else in our life. So think about this. You don't want to judge anybody else either. Start with yourself, though.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks for telling for that insight. So finally, looking back at your journey so far, what part of who you have become are you most grateful for?
Ah, my 4-year-old. I'm very grateful that I'm very much in touch with my inner child. And
Wow.
I believe that all of us as adults will kind of want to reconnect with that in a certain way. And I should not say all. Many of us want to. We're just not sure how to do
Yeah.
that. Again, why? Because we're judging ourselves. And because we're thinking other people are judging us.
Yeah.
But who cares? It's like just go in and have fun. Have a blast. That's why
Yeah.
we're here on this planet. I mean, look at this planet. It's unbelievable what we have to enjoy with our nature and our animals and and other people and other cultures, and even more now than ever. It's unbelievable. So
Yeah.
uh immerse yourself. I'm super, super happy in that I've gotten to this point where Abracadabra is written. I'm just blown away by it, that I'm sharing it with the world, and that I now have a purpose where I can truly make a difference. And I've made a difference in people's lives, and they've said that to me. And I've coached people, even people I've met for a half hour at a bar. I've changed their life. Just because I get people's story pretty quickly. I have that ability. And then I put dots together and I network, and it's a superpower. So, and I like to share that and share but now with this book, I just feel like it's a legacy now, but it's a legacy of which I'm going to leave the world with.
Amazing. So how can our audience connect with you? How can they reach out to you? And where can they get your book?
Okay, thank you for that. So first of all, if you ever want to speak with me, you can email me anytime. info@terrybeanauthor.com is my email. My website, terrybeanauthor.com, is really probably the best way for you to just click on the Amazon link and, go for it. And Ingram, it's going to be in many local bookstores. It's going to be all over the place, but it's going to take time to get there. It always does. So, but always reach out to me. I mean, if you wanted me to personally send you a copy with, my signature,
Yes.
I'm happy to do that too. I'll get my stock in books soon enough, so I'm happy to do that. I'm going to be doing that with a few people in my life now. And if you want to, you can contact me also. There is a contact page, of course, on terrybeanauthor.com. But if you want to create a space for me to come and do a book reading or something, please let me know. I am in New York. I am in Queens. I don't know that I'm flying all over the country yet, especially because I really don't want to leave Mom that often. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. So, but I will be on Amelia Island. That's one of my first places I'm doing one of my readings. It's going to be so fun. It's called the Inkwell. And I will be there in Florida. It's called Amelia Island. It's just northeast of Jacksonville. And it's going to be on the 26th. So that will be on Facebook. I am on Facebook too, under the Wise Bean, Terry Bean.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much for actually more like sharing your stories. Yeah, it's really amazing and a whole lot to actually learn from. And definitely the link to your website is going to be on the show notes for my audience to easily reach out. Yeah, this has been
Thank
the
you.
Making of Me podcast, where our stories shape us and the meaning it made us. Until next time, I'll keep showing up. Once again, it's really a pleasure and an honor to have you on the show, Terry.
And you too, sir. You too. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you.
Yeah, thank